All right. Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. I am Latius, and today, we're kind of going to be doing a little bit something different for today. I'm going to be winging it. This is going to be my first try, ever making general video guide on something that I find very enjoyable and entertaining. If this is sort of something boring or if it's not very good, I do apologize. I'm not very experienced in VTubing or PNG tubing. I am personally not very experienced in becoming a professional content creator or anything like that. It is something I do potentially find interested in and would like to do in the future. However, for now, I'm just gonna kind of take it easy, on myself, and kind of do my own thing. If I get popular, then great. If not, no worries. So I'm just kind of streaming from my Asus ROG Ally right now with the Z1 Extreme. So it is currently a dedicated gaming PC and like a Steam Deck handheld form factor. I'm a big Nintendo fan, Latios and Latios fan, gaming fan, etc. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing a little bit of different things, primarily for what I do for VTubing and what my current setup is right now. I currently have a VideoTube. I downloaded the free trial version. It is a freeware version of the full original software for up-and-comers like me who want to have an entry-level foot into the door. If you are interested in content creation, just be warned, it's not going to be easy at first. Building an audience and advertising and branding and general rules and social cues and social anxiety, this is all something. I personally am fine with whatever's going on. I do not have too many issues. If I get a lot of haters, that's just kind of part of the package deal. But right now, what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to go over something that I downloaded. Obviously, the Nintendo 3DS emulator Citra has been an interesting topic for a lot of people for a while. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna do a little bit of digging and kind of doing what I like to do, which is kind of just playing games. I'm a gamer. But for today's tutorial in specific, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to be yeah, there we go. Okay. So today I'm just going to be working on Citra, the Nintendo 3DS emulator. As you know, it is officially discontinued. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start up the Citra emulator for now after downloading it. All I gotta say is if you want to have emulators and ROMs, it is a moral gray area. The only thing I will say about that sort of thing is your web browser and your search engine is pretty much your best friend. Obviously piracy is not supposed to be condoned nor legally condoned. For me personally, I believe it's more of a service issue. If there is no legal way or no legal distribution or no product being sold or reproduced, I feel like if Nintendo is not advertising 3DS on modern hardware, that's just obviously without a product being sold, there is no product, there is no service. So Nintendo was no longer making money, and therefore they're not losing any money. But that's just kind of my personal take on this sort of thing. So your mileage may vary, of course. But yeah, I just downloaded the Citra emulator, the Citra downloader from the search engine for the web browser and all that. I believe if I load up the Citra room exe, I believe it's going to work. It might not work. I'm not entirely sure. So we're just kind of doing it as we go along. I think I'm supposed to open as administrator. I don't know if that's going to affect anything. If it does, then great. If not, no big deal. But as of right now, it doesn't look like 3DS Citra is going to be loading. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if it's a potential issue. I believe it's normally supposed to work, but as you can see, it just kind of closes itself immediately. It's not actually loading up, so I don't know if that's like a Citra issue. Just kind of doing it as we go along. I think what I'll be doing as kind of a makeshift plan instead is using Azahar. I have Azahar, as you can see. I just kind of downloaded, extracted my desktop. Important Cristiano 3DS files are no longer supported. So yeah, 3DS ROMs are no longer supported. Decrypting and or renaming to CCI may be necessary. Learn more. This is just kind of what I kind of am dealing with and what's going on right now, I believe. Okay, so it is, yeah, so it kind of loads up, it kind of doesn't. If my video and if my emulator or if my stream doesn't, pick up everything, so be it, it should be fine. You should be able to see it sometimes if it breaks out. If it doesn't load up, I apologize. But first and foremost, what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to go to, Fire Emblem Fates. It is currently one of my all-time favorite 3DS games as of lately. It's one of my hyperfixations lately. But it should be pretty much idealistically towards, or at least similar to what a Nintendo 3DS would be like. Is you have your DLC data, you have your save data, you have obviously the main app data that goes with the game and stuff like that. There's also configurations you can kind of do and you can kind of edit. Texture dumping is kind of a similar kind of situation. It's kind of different for the textures. What I kind of do is I kind of just go on Game Banana. As you can see, it's a mod loader like app sort of app data like DLC extra data database for mods that are currently uploaded, archived. And a lot of dedicated fans and communities do put in their work to create assets and reusable information and data to be put into these games to customize and tailor make the experience. For anybody who is interested in these sort of things, there will be tutorials and V-guides. I do not know how to make mods. I've never designed or created my own mod from scratch before, but as you can see, as with all information, as with all copyright data, any sort of information or data created for any video game or product will go to the original creators and any sort of designers who created their own code. I am just a current user. I'm just a customer. I'm just kind of like the generic gaming community. I'm not a developer. I'm not a programmer. So yeah, any sort of data will go towards the original creators and the original credits. Intelligent Systems is currently the current copyright owner of the Fire Emblem series, copyright of Nintendo, yada yada yada. Obviously any download has a risk of a virus, so kind of just do things at your own risk. But if you want specific data and app data, I will try to be doing the guide for you as we go along. For Game Banana, it's kind of simple. You usually just kind of go to the page you want to download the data from. Usually there'll be downloads and datas and other links and stuff like that. There's like the manual downloads, there's alternative source files, there should be downloads and stuff like that. You just click the data download. The readmes are kind of important. 99 times out of 100, I believe that the readmes are very important data files. It's just generally like text, like files and stuff like that comes with any apps you might download. And then any sort of data will kind of have like an explanation and some general consensus data, and they're named readmes, just kind of a simple way, as in like read me, like pick me, like, read me. You kind of want to click on them. It kind of gives you some information. Sometimes they'll give you instructions. Sometimes they will be pretty easy. Usually they should be designed and tailor-made to somebody like us who are not very technically inclined, or somebody who might not be as smart or skilled on either programming or file navigation or computer or tech or hardware, software, etc. The readmes are usually a good place to start whenever you download something. So for Azahar, since Citra has not been working, I'm kind of just using it as a makeshift with Azahar. So for this type of thing, we're going to start with the extra data. Actually, no, we're going to start with mods. So for the mods location, the mod ROMFS is where the mod loader app data stuff will go. So you go into the mods folder on your emulator, you go to the title ID. 1798 is the United States Special Edition for Fire Emblem Fates, and then 88 is the European Special Edition for Fire Emblem Fates. And then this will be, roughly where your Luma data, it'll be like Luma, titles, app data, ROMFS, kind of similar to as a horror in Citra and forks of Citra and stuff like that. You have your mods and your ROMFS and your Lumas, and pretty much like it's almost like a one-to-one identical. Usually, somebody who can like look at these files and name folders can be able to see. For emulators like Citra, it's going to be emulator mods app data ROMFS, and then for official 3DS hardware, it will be Luma titles, and then the title ID ROMFS, somewhere around those lines. So it'll be the Luma titles folder 9 times out of 10. With that being said, I also want to take a look at some of the things you could do. For example, when you're downloading your apps and your homebrew applications and your specifically mods for your games. Like I said, I primarily use Game Banana. It's a generally easy, simple to use way to you just get apps and homebrew mods and just be able to put them in Citra as a HAR in your Luma titles folder. Generally just follow the instructions, follow the downloads, give credit where credit is due whenever you're able to. It's not a lot and it's not really mandatory, but giving credit where credit is due to the people who work hard to do these things for people like us kind of goes a long way, in my opinion. It's really just good to honor people who work hard and do things to make life easier for the rest of us. That being said, I have a couple different mods and ROMFS folders. As you can see, there is no ROMFS in some of these, remastered UI elements that I kind of downloaded. If it's in all these PNG folders, what I would recommend doing is going into your Citra, and then you want to go to the properties or open, and then you want to go to the texture and custom texture locations. As you can see, the custom textures, you have your app datas and your downloads and stuff like that. So it'll have all your assets. It'll have like your extra textures and stuff like that. So usually you just like I said, it'll be like the textures, app data load in the simulator. What you can also do on your Windows PC, I don't know if this works on Macs or Linux or iOS, usually you'll be able to click an address bar, and sometimes it can be highlighted, so you can potentially do like a right click and copy the address bar, and you can be able to load it in different searches and tabs. If you want to make moving files between different locations a little bit easier, any single time you access a certain location, you can just click the address bar, and that usually gives you like a way to kind of quick drop and quick paste any sort of directionals or any sort of locations on your PC that allows you to move files and pick locations in your folders and hard drives and stuff to get you where you want to be. Yeah, so that being said, once again, we're just going to recap a little bit. It's going to be OpenFS texture data. So custom texture location is where you get like your HD UI elements. What you do is you get a bunch of JPEGs and images from your downloads and stuff like that, so that'll be good for that. And then for your actual mods and then app datas and stuff like that, it's going to be mods location. And the mods location will have your Luma titles, ROMs mods, modfs, and title ID. So title ID, ROMFS. Sometimes it'll be ROMFS title ID, but usually it's the title ID and then ROMFS, and then Luma titles, mods, title ID, and then ROMFS. All right, with that being said, the next thing I kind of want to go over, I also want to go over something else in specific, is if you go to the emulations tab, or I believe it's simulations tab, we'll double check as we go along. Yeah, so it's going to be, let's see if we can look for it here. There's multiplayer, there's tools, compress ROM file as a HAR folder, configure. Yeah, so we're going to go to file, we're going to go to open as a HAR folder. So for you, if you're playing Citra, it'll be open the Citra folder. Assuming you have better luck with Citra, the file will actually load and the Citra emulator app will load. As you can see, it didn't work for me the first time. But generally it's the same thing. It's just file 3DS Citra emulator folder. And then for this one, you want to go to the configs folder, and then you want to go to this little thing called the qtconfig.ini. And then under the qtconfig.ini, you kind of want to scroll down a little bit there's camera, data storage, miscellaneous, debugging. You kind of want to scroll down a little bit until you see something that says web service. So for this web service stuff, we have a couple little things over here. We have the web API URL default true and false. So for this one, we're going to delete the true. We do not want the default API. We want to false. We want to set our default API to false. And the next thing you know is you're going to be looking for a web API URL. This is currently not the right API URL you want to do if you want to open multiplayer lobbies for multiplayer and hosting local multiplayer games over Wi-Fi on your Citra emulator. You are going to be putting in a IP address. My issue is I don't really remember where the actual so I guess I'll have to look for it. I think if I type in like Citra, maybe if I type in Citra 3DS, maybe netplay lobby API. I'm not sure if I'll find it. Hopefully I'll find it, but that's kind of, I don't know if what I'm doing is kind of good or not. Usually I just assumed, okay, yeah, so it's kind of, I did see something in the thing right over here. So yeah, I believe this is it. So yeah, Qt config ini, community hosted API. I think this is it. I could be wrong, but we're just going to try it anyway. So once again, it's going to be file. It's going to be file, open Citra emulator, go to the config folder. We're going to go to the Qt config ini. And then before all else, just close the emulator, close Citra. And then obviously go to the config ini. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy paste the web URL API, and then you for Windows 11 you just want to hit this X little tiny close tab button. On Windows 11, closing the actual thing will not work. You specifically want to close the tiny little tab in the corner if you're on Windows 11, and it'll ask you to save. You just want to hit confirm, and yes, you want to hit save. If you're on Windows 10, this will not be necessary. If you're on Windows 10, just closing the X will allow you to save. And as long as you get that save pop-up notification, that's really all you need. And then, like I said, make sure you actually close your emulator when you're loading up the web service URL API and the config in the file configs folder. And then web service, you want to have that URL popped in, and you want to set the default. You're going to delete the thing that says true, and you're just going to type in false, all lowercase for that one. So that should be fine. And then I believe after that, you can close that, and you can close whatever else you need. I don't need the recycle bin right now. That should be fine. And then what we're going to do is for me, it's going to be loading up Al-Zahar. For you, it might be Citra. And then what you're going to do is, I believe you should be able to hit browse public rooms. And then, yeah, all your public rooms should be able to be in there. And then I believe you're supposed to select the certain ones. I could be wrong. I don't know if it's like against the rules to log into any sort of multi-lobby. Usually they're kind of titled. A lot of it is Monster Hunter, as you can see. Some of it is for other games like Zelda, Smash, Pokemon, Mario Golf, etc. But usually something that would be like any game, like over here, like VPS Arizona 1 and 2. If it says any game, you're probably more likely to have less issues. If it's like Citra games and stuff like that. If it's, you kind of want to go for the thing that says like less players. The less players, the better. You'll be able to interact with people and set your multi-lobbies and stuff like that. And then you could do like applications I own. For me, there's nothing. None of the current emulators that I have dumped from my 3DS is going to be available specifically for these two games in specific, which should be fine. There are APIs and there are lobbies and IPs and other things that do exist that will have Fire Emblem Awakening and Fates. I do not know where they are. I do not know where to look for them. So I'm assuming a search result or a place like a Discord server that supports this sort of thing or allows this sort of thing should be okay with it. But I think that's pretty much it for now. I can't really think of anything else. Once again, this is the full VOD, so if anybody is interested, feel free to archive this, feel free to steal it, feel free to edit it. You have my permission to take this content and use it for yourself and make it better than what I did for you. I just ultimately wanted to pave the road for potential 3DS multiplayer netplay emulation with some tools and some ways to kind of get your foot into the door for that sort of thing. Alternatively, you could create a room and create a direct connect to a room. I believe you need to do port forwarding and stuff like that. You need to have a room name, a username, default IP address, public, unlisted, stuff like that. I believe public should be better. I believe it should be fine either way. But you need to have your internet service provider and you need to allow port forwarding. So you can do a server address, do a port, nickname, password. I'm not going to be going over that right now. I'm going to be doing that off stream for now and then maybe making another video guide, maybe doing another stream, doing whatever else. But for now, I believe that should be everything. If you want to, I can recap one more time. You want to go to the file, open your Citra folder, go to the config folder, go to the qtconfig ini, and then you want to scroll down onto EAC web service, or what you could also do is you could also do Control and F. Yeah, there's your web service. Set the default. Yeah, as you can see, there's two default falses. URL 20 to false. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if that's okay. I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably just get rid of this. I'll close the Citra emulator, but for this case, it's as a hard, but that should be fine. We're going to probably delete this part here, and then we're going to hit backspace on this one too. It's just going to make it look cleaner. And then once again, if you're on Windows 11, closing it is not going to be enough, but for Windows 10, it will be. As long as you get this prompt for Windows 11, it's clicking this X here. But this is the main thing, is it's asking, you want to make sure that the notepad notifies you want to save the game. And for this one, you want to save your config. You want to save those changes and make sure the emulator is closed. If the emulator is open while it loads up, it'll just reset the config and you'll have to go back into it again. So, make sure you're opening and closing your emulator as you see fit and necessary. And then once again, we're going to go back to Azahar since Citra doesn't load for me for some reason. And then once again, you're going to be setting that multiplayer and then browse public rooms. This is the easiest way to do NetPlay. And then last but not least, I want to go over one more time. Your save data location is when you start up the game. Extra data will be DLC and extra content. Texture jump locations, you want to be loading folders and files and stuff like that. And then the pictures, any sort of pictures or textures will be loaded into the custom textures folder. And then any sort of ROM-FS that you download will go to the right-click property, open. Yeah, it's going to be open and then mods location. In the ROM-FS, you just copy-paste that in there. And then for your native actual Nintendo 3DS, if you're running boot 9 strap with Luma and Rosalina menu and stuff like that, it'll be Luma titles, title ID, ROM-FS. And then for the emulator, it's just, the title ID ROM-FS, just without the Luma titles, because Luma titles is on 3DS. And then for your actual Windows PC, it's going to be your Azahar folder, local or load mods, stuff like that. I believe that should be everything. I think I'll sign off right here for now. Feel free to refer this information later. I will be uploading this as a VOD and putting this on my YouTube channel. Follow me with confidence. I do not upload often. I do not have a set schedule. I kind of do things as I kind of do. I go at my own pace. So if this helps you, great. If there's any questions, feel free to DM me. My DMs are almost always open publicly and without issue. So if this helps you, great. If not, I apologize. But feel free to kind of, move this and maybe we can get some 3DS simulation and get some Fire Emblem working in the future. With that, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and cheers.